This is one of my favourite places. This is uphill in Somerset, and this view is sort of looking over towards Breen and Barrow, that sort of direction. It's a very simple little scene. We've got a few boats here. I'll try and make the sky a bit more interesting, a bit more dramatic, and maybe try and create some light reflected into the water and get the boat silhouetted against the sky. So let's see how we get on. So I'm just starting with clean water. Stretch the paper as we paint. Also get nice, no hard edges in the sky. It is clean water. What you can see is just where it's picking up the dirty paint on the board. So I just want to make sure that's nice and wet. Don't want it to dry too quick. And then I'm not going to use many colours in this, I don't think. Just raw sienna. Push that down again. This goes a bit of burnt umber, ultramarine. I'm not going to stray too much. Maybe a bit of light red as well, just to warm it up a bit. Something like that. Just bring a bit of light red into the palette. Light red, ultramarine. I'm not cleaning the brush, by the way. You see that's a nice warm colour. Just always trying to preserve a lighter area. Let's go for a bit darker, ultramarine and burnt umber. Even a few little clouds there, even off and over the horizon. Remember, they get smaller and smaller as they go further and further and close to the horizon line. Push a bit in. A few clouds up there as well. A bit darker down there. Maybe a few white clouds as well up in the sky. Some on this side. It's a bit darker on the sides. So the darker you make the sides, the lighter the middle looks. Let's get this nice and dark here. Bit of light red. A few little clouds up there. I think I'm fairly happy with that. So, see how the paper's stretched? I'm just going to pull it tight, refix it. And I'll just give that a quick dry. Again, I still haven't cleaned the brush, but what I am going to do is just dip the tips in, just to bring all the hairs together. So I've got a nice chisel edge to work with, and then pretty much all the same colours, nice and dark. Remember, enough water to hold the hairs together, but not too much, so that it's totally saturated. And we've got quite a low horizon line. I might just keep it sort of low, somewhere down here. Trying to keep it straight, trying to keep it parallel with the bottom of the paper. I'm just going to work away. These are just like distant distant tree, landscape and buildings and whatever. You can just use masking tape if you want. Put a piece of masking tape across and you can work up to there if you want to keep it nice and straight. But that's what I used to do, but now I prefer to do it freehand. Just a few little bits and bobs. I'm going to let that dry, I think. I don't want that too much. Might just give that a quick dry, because then I want it even darker still in front of it. That's the most distant bit of land. And I want this darker still. Going burnt umber, ultramarine, nice and dark. And then starting on this side. Bring that land down to there, something like that. It's like the mud going up by the river. This is like a river that leads out, well, it's an estuary leading out into the sea. So let's do the other side now. The other side's coming over to about there, something like that. And that goes up to there. I'm just coming below that distant land now. I don't want to cover it up. Only coming down very little, very little. That's enough. And what I might do, in fact, now I'm going to leave the hake on one side for a minute. I'm going to switch to the 3/4 inch flat. And again, nice dark colours. I'm going to put the boats in, but I want them nice and dark, sort of silhouetted against the light. So, burnt umber, ultramarine is what I always use for a nice sort of dark mix. I never just use the Payne's grey on its own. So what I might do first, I just want to make sure that's dry. I'm going to have some masks going over that, and I wanted to make sure it was dry. So I'm going to stick the big one in first, the biggest boat, which will be the sort of centre of attention. Let's stick him, I don't want to put him in the middle. I want him sort of just off centre, but sort of within the light area. Maybe about there, I think. Maybe about there. So I'm just putting just a rough shape of that boat. Bit more water. Paint's not coming off the brush very easily. If it's not coming off the brush very easily, then you just need a little bit of water just to loosen it all up. Something like that. And it sort of comes over. And there's like a little cabin bit. And we've got a big mast. the reflection. So again, I sort of, for the reflection, rather than put it in one solid block, if you just sort of dab it like that, just keep pressing down and put it in like, it just looks like the sort of water ripples on the surface. You just want this rough shape. It doesn't have to be exact, but as long as it's there or thereabouts. And then don't forget the big mast as well. Remember, that's got to come down as high as that is. And a little bit as well. Got that slightly wrong, but I'm going to leave that. Often, if you make a mistake, often it's best if you just leave it. Once you try correcting it, 9 times out of 10 you just make it worse. Just leave it, and by the time you finish the painting, you wouldn't even notice it. Actually, I don't know why I've cleaned the brush, because I want to put some more boats in. So that's like my main boat. I wanted to put him, even though in the photo he's here, but I wanted to put him in the light so you get the maximum amount of contrast. Remember, light against dark, it's what'll make your paintings more interesting. So that's the main one. And I'm just going to put in 2 or 3 little ones. A bit too much water. Put into a little reflection there. Stick his mast up. That'll do. I don't want to detract too much from the main boat. And what we could do is put a little bit of rigging on there. Switch to the number 3 rigger, which incidentally is why it's called a rigger, because they used to do the rigging on the ships. And then if we just put a not forgetting the reflection. Same on this one. Again, very faint. Often less is more, like as they say, and it's true. If you keep it subtle, it often looks better. It's so easy to overdo it. Let's put in some more of this land. Now the land's going to come down something like that. It's coming over now from there. And flick up a few little bits of grass up. So it just looks like bits of grass growing on the little banks there. Back to the rigger. You mustn't forget the birds. Make sure your hand's dry before you put it on the paper, otherwise you'll make a right mess. And then let's put the birds again somewhere. Stick them up here somewhere. A little bit dry, that is. That'll do. And then last but not least, your name in the corner. And that's my quick impression of uphill in Somerset. So let's see how it looks a bit close up. So here's our finished painting. Let's have a look at the photograph. Now you can see how bland the sky is. There's absolutely nothing happening. That's why I've tried to make it a lot more dramatic. So that's what you can do with, you know, use your artist's license to basically do whatever you want. You see, I've tried to create this lighter area coming right down the centre of the scene. Now you can see in the photograph the main boat here is on the right hand side. And the reason I've moved him was deliberately to get him in the lightest area so I could get maximum contrast. If I put him over here where he is in the actual picture, you could see where it's darker. And a little bit like this one, you wouldn't get as much contrast. See the difference when you look at it where it is there. Now you can see basically brushing in from either side using various colours, and then a bit of tissue to take out a few more clouds. Not forgetting our little birds up there. And then on the horizon line, if you remember, I dried it first. So that way you get a nice sharp edge. Often I put it in while it's still wet, so it's sort of, you get a soft edge. That's why I kept drying it. At first I did the distant one, and then as I come forward I dried it to make sure it was dry before I carried on. I put this one in nice and even darker tone as we come further forward. And see how this looks further forward than that. Same on the other side. Got our lighter, distant land, and then as we come forward, put them in stronger. But again, make sure it's dry before you put it in. The boat itself, as you can see, I've just blocked it in. Very simple shape. Bit of mass, little bit of rigger work, keeping it nice and thin for the ropes coming down, and again reflecting. See what I mean when I was putting the reflections in? Pressing down, dabbing, just to makes it look like there's little ripples in the water, and again just a reflection down of what's above it. The rest of the scene's very similar. Foregrounding just the same. Then you can see what I did, just flicked up with the hake just to create the impression of a few grasses on the banks there. Well, thanks for watching my quick impression of Ullswater uphill in Somerset. Keep practicing. Any questions please ask, and I'll see you again soon.